You're not supposed to do that because it makes it look like you're picking your nose. Hello, my friends. Whether you are coming in tonight or at some point in what would look like our future, it doesn't really matter because the clearings and exercises I do tonight are not going to be any less effective years from now than they are. Might be more effective, but even they might grow more effective with time. But I have noticed that a lot of us have some things that need to be cleared. Well, actually, all of us do. Tell you the truth, the whole human species needs clearing and healing, as far as I can tell. It's pretty much everybody. Because, like I always say, we have been pretty raked over the coals throughout our time on this world, and we come here and get lots and lots and lots of lessons, don't we? So, and have lots of experiences. Some of those experiences kind of leave a painful impression. That, and some of us have spiritual issues. The whole idea of energy work is to help with the things that really physical medicine has trouble with. Of course, it can also help with things that physical medicine can be used for. I mean, it's really comes in handy when there are things that physical medicine can't really touch. So, thing about having this recorded is you can come back when you need to and replay it as many times as you want. So it doesn't really matter if you don't make it in tonight for whatever reason, or, on the night that it's recorded. I've seen recordings that were made years ago that it was finally time for me to see them, and it's like, whoa, that's powerful. So that's one of the wonders of recording. So I'm just not going to worry about it. If you don't make it in tonight, you can always replay. And by the way, hi, I am the Ocean of the Ocean's Deep Blue. I am shamanic practitioner. Most of the people you'll encounter in our chat are experiencers of one kind of paranormal activity or another, whether that be things like Sasquatch and cryptids or aliens and UFOs and abductions, that kind of thing, and that kind of experience, or spirits, hauntings, time slips, other weird stuff. We do the deepest of woo. That's what we do. And the thing about it is, a lot of people are really afraid to go deep. And I just don't care, right? It's deep is okay with me. I am, after all, ocean. Ocean is deep. So Nothing to worry about here. Deep subjects, I'll do it. And if that's what you want to do, and actually we do get kind of, well, very deep here sometimes, very deep. So if you can handle that, welcome. And so you're going to get different things on different days here. As I'm sure you've noticed, we have some days that we've got guests, we have other days where we have just discussions, and really we have some kick-ass discussions. So I'm fine with what the audience is really preferring. And one of the things that they seem to be pointing at is they like the clearings and healings and stuff, because I guess that's not something you get on just any channel. There's a lot of channels that talk about paranormal things and discuss things, but there aren't really that many channels, I guess, that actually do something about that. I mean, I can discuss energy work all day long, but if I don't ever do it and you don't ever experience it, that's quite different from just talking about it, right? So basically, I've decided that from time to time, we're going to do just a little bit more than talk about it. And that's going to be probably a fairly regular part of the show again. We used to have that a while back when I first started. We used to have ceremonies and things because it seemed to be very needed. People need to come together with a purpose and um, solve their problems, get their, how would you say that, spiritual nourishment of a sort by being with other people like them. Um, Now, I don't want you to think this is not a cult. I never want it to be a cult. I never want it to be a religion. Um, but my personal belief is I am God and so are you. We are divine. Um, and because of that, we can do amazing things. And when we remember, the more that we remember, the more we remember that, the better we can do. The more I remember that I'm a part of God. Uh, Everything's a part of God. And I ask to see the God in whatever it is, whatever situation it is. It really helps. It really helps. The freer I am. I don't subscribe to any particular religion. That's why I'm shamanic. Shamanism is basically walking between the worlds to mitigate for the people. And I'm wearing my itchy kind of, the wool is soft and it's kind of itchy though. Anyway, probably, I don't know. It's I'm not really, it's not that I'm trying to completely lose religion. It's just that I think all our religions have been corrupted by misappropriated, perhaps, too, by people who have used it to their own ends. And I think that as soon as you say you're a particular religion, then you're put in a box, and with this set of rules and this set of beliefs, you're not supposed to stray out of that. You're sacrileging or whatever. I just could never stay in that box. I could never stay in that box. I asked all the bad questions. I asked all the wrong questions in Sunday school. Okay. I was raised um I was raised Christian. I asked all the wrong questions in school. I asked all the wrong questions in Sunday school. I just asked all the wrong questions, period. All my life, I've been that way. So it doesn't really pay me to subscribe to any particular belief structure. Why, Jay? Well, I love you too. I love you too, darling. Hello. I don't know what happened. It looks like people forgot tonight, but it doesn't matter. The stuff will work anyway, even if they have to replay it. Mm. So basically, uh, not being able to go outside the box. Now, the thing is, I'm a Sagittarius. And if you know anything about Sagittarians, you know we hate boxes. We hate boundaries. We hate boxes. We don't like it. We want to be free. We're one of the most freedom loving signs of the entire zodiac, right? Eh, if the road ain't easy, it's a boring road. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. I have to think about that. It's just basically, I can't stay in the boundaries that other people set. Usually I think outside the box. I have to. Now, it's good. I want to show you just to show you he's here. My little co-host here, Mr. Cowboy. He is here. He's my backup, okay? He's he's here just in case we need some cuteness and a few purrs. Okay, just so but he needs to think inside the box. I think cats need to think more inside the box, and humans need to think more outside the box. I think that's the way it needs to be. Um, okay, so basically, please be kind to the other experiencers. Realize that your experience may be different than your friends. And even though you had a similar experience, you might have seen it differently, you might have felt it differently. People have different filters that everything runs through. So let's just keep it nice to each other and be nice to each other about it. Just don't flip out if somebody says, I saw a Sasquatch and thus and so happened. Well, I saw it and it was entirely different. And it's like, okay, it was entirely different. Okay. My near death and your near death experience, mine and Bombers are very different. Um, that can happen, although there were some similar parts, similar pieces to it. They were very different, and that is okay. So, what do we got here? We got James Ortiz. Hey, James. Yeah, you are one of the reasons I wanted to have this, is because I have this particular discussion, is because I know that there are those of us who are not well right now. And we need to handle that, because what good is it having power and ability if you're not using it? I just performed a lot of extractions last night for somebody. And wow, I remember those days when I was that bad off. This person had a ton of stuff going on with them. And what an extraction is when you have something going on in your auric field that is affecting your body, your mind, your emotions, usually all of them, your energy system. And we take that out etherically. It can actually translate in your physical body to a sense of ease, to a sense of less pain or lack of pain. It can translate to things just going away on their own. Uh, Once again, if you ask me, this is another argument for simulation. Things can change just that quick. Could it be that, if you just know how to work the system right, it's just like that. You do a hack. It's like a hack or whatever, right? So what are the healers but the cosmic hackers? That's what we are. We hack this reality. And you can do it too. This is not something that you have to be particularly smart. There are plenty of people who aren't that smart who can do this kind of thing. And you don't have to be, you don't even have to be that nice. There are some people that do this that aren't really that nice. I think one time I met the doctor house of this kind of work. Not an easy person, but got results. I mean, there are people who get results in different ways. So that's another thing I found. I try not to let my judgments affect that, and kind of suspend my disbelief and to see how things work, see how other people work too. So different, let's see, YJ is saying, difference in experiences is a great reason listening to each other's perspectives. It lets us see from angles we wouldn't have before. Exactly. We are the glitch in the matrix. That's exactly right. I believe so too, YJ. We are the glitch in the matrix. And yeah, outside the box thinking was the only thing that got us out of the Stone Age. Yeah, probably. I would think that would have to be it, wouldn't it? I mean, right. Um, Good points. So yeah, this is why I can't really, I say I'm a spiritualist because spiritualists accept mediumship and interactions. I say shamanic because I walk between the worlds. I travel between the worlds. But really, this is simply less of a religion, more of a way of life. And there aren't exactly rules. Well, there are practices, good practices. Um, Karma, we've discussed that. But yeah, there are some things that you want to do and some things you don't want to do. Some things that are not good to do. And, but it's not like anything's written in stone. We, we realize, once you realize that reality is malleable, this, whatever reality we're in is malleable, then you can change it. That's the first step to changing it, is believing that it may be able to change. So, I tell you what, I should make my disclaimer now. This is just tips, tricks, and hacks for playing that massively multiplayer, total immersion VR learning game matrix called Life on Earth. It has nothing to do with real life, which takes place outside the matrix. Or at least that's where we think it takes place. That's the way we remember it, seem to recall it. Okay. Yeah, well, that's right. YJ, religions are a doctrine, and what we're doing is learning as we observe, yes. Well, that's just it. I have done a lot of things. I have done things right on this show. I had no idea if I could do them. No idea. But I tried them anyway. I just got this thing. You should do this. And I tried it anyway, and lo and behold, I could do that. And it's like, well, isn't that interesting? Okay. So you never know, you'll try. So if you get a creative feeling that you might be able to do something, it's worth a try. Although I gotta say, there are some provisions here. Some of the stuff I've done has really, there's sometimes a reaction, okay, when you run a lot of energy through yourself because you don't use your own energy, you use universal energy. That's one of the rules. Oh, oh, greetings and favor to you, David Castle. Okay, David Castle is grabbing coffee. He might be in tonight, talking. Okay, tonight's tea for YJ is Tetley Super Herbal Tea Boost. Peach ginger and dandelion with vitamin B6. That sounds pretty souped up. Sounds pretty shocking. Shocking, Jay. Oh, you got some ginger tea. I make mine from the root though, sweetheart. Mine comes right from the root, and there's a reason for that. It's like I'm making all my own stuff. Because for one thing, I can never be sure if they're actually washing off the herbs in the herbal teas. Although I have had some ginger teas that are absolutely luscious. But oh, and ginger beer. There was an Aldi's ginger beer that's so good. It's hot. It's so spicy, burns all the way down. That's the way I want my ginger beer to be, you know? um, I want it to be hot. But anyway, oh, hey, Circle K, hi. You're awake. Thank goodness, but not woke. No, not woke. You want to be awake. You don't want to be woke. I'm sorry. They scare me, those folks. I mean, some of the things I hear from that section, not that I want to be against anybody, but they can be very scary people. Anyway, some of them anyway. I will have to order some ginger root. You know, YJ, I hear that it can be grown. You might want to grow it. Denali was growing it. So I'm going to try growing it too. And there are even videos on YouTube about growing ginger. So I'm going to try it too. Growing my own ginger plant. Oh, does Trader Joe's? Yeah, the thing is when they don't add too much besides ginger and water and sugar, then you're okay. If they add very much else, it's not going to be good. I don't I don't like complicated stuff like that. That's one of the reasons I do it myself. I don't want anything I can't pronounce in there. I mean, I was just talking to somebody about that too. It's like I'm definitely a periphery shopper. I'm definitely one of the people that makes probably now 80 to 90% of my food. You know, I'll have Chinese food out, but I found a really decent Chinese place that has pretty clean food that I can trust. I can taste it. It's there. There's nothing going on with it. I get like beef broccoli or something. It's there's nothing weird about it. Doesn't taste chemically or give me any kind of reaction. So I'm really thankful for that. So actually I can eat out once in a while, but it's usually Chinese food. It's usually vegetables and meat is all that's in there. So things continue to get better since I've been on this path. Once again, the energy work I've been doing on myself and others has been very effective. I have to say that I think we'll get to the point where most of us get to the point where that's pretty much all we use. We don't use very much else except energy work, natural herbs, and then once in a while, if you get a broken bone or need something stitched up, you go to the doctor. But or something that you just need diagnosed so that you know what you're dealing with, something like that. But really, my belief is the human body was supposed to be able to heal itself from everything. If it's working right, it's going to be able to self-repair. Yeah. So, oh, do they have gorgeous red flower? Ooh, that sounds nice. Ginseng, yeah. I have some ginseng root in the back too. Yeah, when they don't use monosodium glutamate, that's the thing is that I've never detected anything like that in there. I asked about it, and they know damn well if I ever detect that, I'm not going to be buying there. I'm one of their best customers because I eat there about once a week, so they know I'm good for at least once a week. Because when I go shopping, I'm just don't want to cook, and so I'll get some generally beef broccoli, and I'll tell them to add some mushrooms, and they know me by now. So they're like, oh, yes. And we put in some fortune cookies and some chopsticks because I eat with chopsticks. And I love the whole experience of, the eating with chopsticks. And then I make my tea and, you know, and I'm sure that I spent some time in China, some lives in China that were probably pretty good before China went the way it did. That's it. Geez, we need to pray for the people in China, send some energy their way too, because honestly, they are going through a lot right now. Not the Chinese government. The Chinese government right now, well, they're going to be feeling the wrath of the people. The people are up in arms in China right now because of some terrible things that happened. And I think there's going to be a revolution. So we'll see how that plays out. And I wish them all the best. That is the Chinese people. When I told the lady that I ordered the Chinese food from, who is Chinese, well, I say I just love the whole Chinese. She says you always get the chopsticks and everything, it's like, yeah, I just love the whole Chinese food experience. And she just smiled and said, "Thank you." Good. She's not worried about cultural appropriation, right? Yeah, but she's glad we're having fun with it. How do you protect your own energy when doing energy work for others? Okay, good question. Um, Emotions might play a part. Well, for one thing, I make sure that my energy's up and okay before I start. I usually bubble up. I call my entourage of angels and guides, and I get my mind right, you know, and my emotions right. One thing I will say when you're doing any kind of spiritual work is when you go in confident. It helps a lot. Yeah, exactly. When you're an empath, I think empaths, that's probably was originally meant as a way to diagnose somebody else's condition. Because usually I find that most of us will feel in our own bodies where the other person is hurt. A lot of times, no, this is not across the board, but a lot of times we'll feel uh, the pain or whatever where the person is having it. Some of us see these things on people. Some of us, I don't always see them. Uh, I see them in my mind's eye, like I get a sense that something's there, and then I get pictures, like moving pictures, sort of thing. And sometimes they're completely symbolic. I mean, mostly they're completely symbolic because this is all just freaking energy. It isn't real. This body isn't even real. So what you're seeing is energy. And what your mind is doing is interpreting this. So what the colors and stuff you're seeing is an interpretation. Now, it was interesting because when I was healing this lady, when I was using blue light, she saw blue light. When I was putting the violet, but this is interesting. When I was putting the violet flame in there, she was seeing this soft pink, which is interesting because to me it was purple, but to her it was more of a pink. And so not everybody perceives things quite the same. But still, she got the blue for sure. So, and then she felt better. Now, here's another thing that can happen that happened with her. If you've got a person who has a lot of things going on with the head and neck area, they can pass out. And she did. So it's a good thing she was lying down because, um, I have them lie down or sit down because honestly, in a safe place, honestly, people can pass out if things get intense. And she had some very intense stuff going on. So, and she doesn't remember half of it because she was just out. And probably to save herself, she was out. She had a lot going on. Um, what it looked like to me was buckshot coming out of her head in the front, a lot of steel rods. I don't know where they came from coming out of her head in the back. Stuff down her spine, something stuck in her spine, something stuck on the side of her neck. And she was saying how it was making her queasy and how she was feeling like she might puke. And I said, you might have to hold a bucket or something. This is like surgery, okay? When you're doing this stuff, you have to remember um, that's sort of what it's like. But you have to be confident that you're in charge. Yeah, let's see. NYJ says, I carry the confidence. It's an all the time thing that I perpetually improve upon by trying my best to have integrity and stick to my moral compass. Yes. Um, yes, it helps. It really helps if you're true to your word, if you don't lie to yourself and you don't lie to others, then when you tell yourself, I'm powerful and I'm going to fix this, I'm going to solve this, then you believe yourself, don't you? A lot better. So how you doing, Ben? There have been knives, there have been insects, there have been various implements, there have been unnamed things that we just weird shapes, glass, stones. There was a bunch of crystals that for a while, I don't know. I think I have a theory, but I was pulling crystals out of myself, much bigger crystals than my body was coming out of me. And the interesting thing is, Paul was experiencing this too when he was doing healings. There would be there are things that you'll pull out, and it's like some kind of magic hat that you'll pull out that's bigger than the whole person that you're looking at. Why is that? It's because you aren't a little tiny avatar. Okay, you really have to understand this part. You're not just a little tiny avatar. You are a huge, vast being. This can be in your etheric body, and your etheric body is huge. You could fit a mountain in there easily, I mean, think about how huge you feel when I told you to expand that night. The last time. Expand yourself. You're vast. This solar system ain't nothing. And this tiny little body sure ain't nothing at all, right? So think about that when you're doing a healing on this level here. You may encounter things that seem to be much bigger than the person's body, and that's happened over and over again. So you can't let that throw you. There are also some things that will try to scare you. There are things that will try to disgust you. You got to not have an emotional reaction. Here's another tip is don't have an emotional reaction. Don't let it make you cry. Don't let it scare you. Don't let it disgust you. You have to be very neutral. Um, Staying neutral emotionally is a really good idea. If you have any emotion at all, just have love. Just have love, compassion, love. That's it. Um, don't let it knock you into anything else. Because remember, you are bigger. You are bigger. You are much bigger. So, yes, the meat suit is just a little avatar, like that little round dot there, that little dot with your face or symbol or whatever in there. That's all it is right there. That's it. That's all it is. It's just something that represents you, a way to interface this realm. So it's interesting because earlier today I saw Praveen Mohan. Oh, he's so good. He's really good at going to these ancient temples and really bringing out the details. One of the things he brought out about one of the temples was all of these beautiful mandanikas or mandanikas statues. beautiful dancing people doing all kinds of things. But what people don't realize, and this is so elaborate, behind them, he was showing one today where behind the front figures, there's another figure. And I'm there like, oh my gosh, that's it. He says, well, there is the God behind this mandanika. The mandanika is just the part you see. There's something else behind it. And I'm like, yes, the person who is working the little avatar. Oh my gosh. Is it a God? Well, yeah, because we are gods, all of us. Or is it the person who is playing the game behind that mandanika? Is that the face behind that mandanika? Is that what they were saying? Maybe. Yes. And Circle K says, I felt my real size one time in the living room and scared the crap out of the guy on the back porch. I guess he saw me in two places. I've done that to people before. Hey, Sandra Heath, how are you? Yeah, I've seen that before. Yeah. Um, so that's like one of the things I say, get that in your head right away. You are powerful. You have a whole host of people to help you. Each one of us has been given this, okay? Um, I know you have them, I have them, we all have them. A lot of times, instead of sending mine, I will say, you guys get in touch with their angels and guides and tell them this needs to happen, you know? And then I tell the person, you need to tell your people to start working on this for you. Because I think it's really important that we empower others as well. So it's not just people coming to me to be healed all the time and just here, and then it's kind of disempowering. Now, I'm not going to forsake you because even if you're, I mean, mostly a lot of people that come to me are going through some very tough times and they can't even afford to pay me. And so I don't really even charge. I just say, tip me when you can. And if you can't, well, somehow, the universe will get it back to me. But um, I also can't just let them suffer. So a lot of times I end up doing all this work without getting paid for it. On the other hand, I learn a lot. Now, today, I might have gotten a little bit of payback because as I was in line struggling to get my stuff, I was doing my grocery shopping today, and I was trying to get my card to work, and for some reason, my doggone card wasn't working. And some lady came up and said, "Oh heck, here I'll pay it for you. I'll just take care of it for you." And it's like, wow, I've had that happen on a couple of occasions when something's gone wrong, and I'm kind of thinking, I really don't want to hold everybody up trying to get this fixed. Sometimes people will just come up and pay for something for me, and I'm like, wow, maybe that is the universe not actually having people pay me, but it's kind of maybe a universe sliding me some goodies for um for doing that. Sometimes though, people will come around years later and go, "Oh yeah, here," and lay some money in my hand out out of the blue. I've had that happen too. Like, wow, you did something for me 10 years ago. I never paid you. Here's some money. So can I count on it? As you can't really live you can't really live that way the way it is now. But I mean, maybe I can get it to where that happens. But I'm not gonna like rule it out. But it's like for now, it's like more kind of um off and on type of thing. Maybe I can get it so it happens all the time. I don't know. Um, yeah, that was so nice of her. And the last time it was a guy. It was a guy, and he was behind me in line, and I said, "Oh, doggone it! You can just pull my stuff off and void it, and I'll wait and let whoever's behind me go because I know this is going to take a while." And the guy behind me says, "I'll just pay it for you so that you can go on." And it's like, well, that was sweet, you know. So sometimes just having consideration for people, you get a reward. Um, People are not as bad as we're led to believe. As a matter of fact, humans can be very, very good, very wonderful creatures, um, very selfless. I mean, people run into burning buildings to save other people they don't know. Even to save animals, people risk their lives to save animals, stray animals, wild animals. It's like humans are great. Never, that's another thing. We need to quit putting ourselves down. We hear so many opportunities for us to put down humans, and feel bad about the human race. Humans are so bad, this and that. Humans are awesome. Humans are awesome. And actually, you can't imagine what the poor guy on the porch, the guy who saw you in two places, that's like the lady I was talking about. I was doing a clearing. I was on the phone with her at my place, and I showed up standing beside her doing the clearing at her place. And she flipped out and started screaming, "How can you do this? How are you doing this?" And then I found out later why she was screaming. Ah, what's going on here? She was so confused. So, ah, um, yeah, to you were on the couch. Okay. To me, I was in both places. I was talking to her and I was there with her. And I could kind of see both of them. And actually, when I had the one fight with the things that were out in our woods, they were not good things. When Heather and I were fighting them, I saw from several points of view, and I didn't even know I could do that. It's not just two, it was like five or something. So it's like, whoa, wow, hey, this is cool. I didn't know I could do that. Yeah, the bad ones, the thing is they're very vocal and they're very out there and they're ones that people see. But really, most people, I think, if given a chance and given the correct information, would not be bad, would choose to want to do the right thing, would choose to want to be kind, given the choice, given the chance. Not psychopaths, but, um, you know, your average person given a choice probably would do the right thing. If they didn't perceive it as hurting them in any way, I think that'd be almost across the board. One of the things I always found out when I played I used to play a lot of games online, some of these community type games. And one thing I found is if it didn't cost them anything, people would give you all kinds of help. People would be willing to click on this and do that and plant this and whatever and, leave a comment and do this and do that if it didn't cost them anything, if you weren't asking for money, because they're really sick of that, right? If you weren't asking for money, they were happy to help you out because it feels good. Humans like that. Humans feel good when they help each other out. Humans are really communal beings. They're not singular beings. They're not meant to be. They like helping each other out, and we've just got to get rid of this attitude that humans are horrible. We are not. We are not a curse. We are not a pox. We are not a cancer. We are not any of those things. We are simply a life form trying to get by like every other life form on this realm. Okay? We're trying to get by. Some of us get the wrong information, the wrong attitude, the wrong programming, and then something else happens instead of what's supposed to happen. I think we're really all supposed to be back to our divine self. Back, I think we're going to find that as we move along, as we raise in frequency. Humans are not really bad beings at all. I mean, and we got to be careful of this. You got to be careful of labeling and prejudice. I mean, if you have a known thing, like there are some things you just don't want to mess with. But there are some things that are probably neutral until you piss them off, or until they're hungry. So you have to watch out for that. Now, getting back to the spiritual healing, do you have any questions on that? He was flipped out. I bet he was, because the first time people see something like that, they're like, what in the, yeah. Well, you know what? Yeah, most people will stop to help you if you're in distress. That's true. Sooner or later, you're in distress by the road. Sooner or later, somebody comes by to find out what's wrong and says, and either calls it in, I'll call it in for you, or can I help you, or maybe helps you change your tire or whatever it is. That's the way it usually goes. Right. Yeah. There's a couple people who are going to get thrown out of because they're, of any large gathering, there's going to be a couple of idiots and people acting like fools. And, most people are going to be okay. When I would go to a lot of these huge open air fairs, events, and really there wasn't tons of crime there. And there generally wasn't violence. Even if it was something like jousting matches and stuff, the only violence was the mock violence. We didn't have, there was maybe a little theft, something like that. But we didn't really have any big time crime at all. And thousands of people, and I mean, this was when you would stay there overnight and everything, and you'd be camping there for a while. We had very low incidents. Then again, at a lot of these, people had weapons. They were all armed, and you never knew if you went crashing in on them, what you might find. I mean, a lady might have a really nice sharp dagger in her bosom, in her corset or whatever, or in her hair. I mean, there are actually weapons that are made to wear in your hair. So you never know how good that guy with a staff might be a bow staff expert. You don't know. So everybody just kind of minds their business and stays cool, And the few things that do happen, that did happen, like say in the SCA. They would put them in stocks, like in the old days. They would actually put people in stocks, like in the old days, and say this person stole, and ride them around in a wagon and let everybody see them and know that they are thieves. And then after that, they'd let them go. And, you know, it's like, well, that wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't terrible. It was comfortable, I'm sure, but it wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't like they had to imprison them forever and torture them and do anything torturous at all. It was like, this person's a thief. You can't trust them. Okay. Very interesting way of dealing with things, huh? And quite often they were, if they didn't shape up, they were just kicked out of everywhere and not traded with. It was like nobody would trade with them. So, yeah, I think you're right, YJ. Humans are just kind of adolescent right now. Yeah, uh, developing again, and actually, we were very developed at one time, I think, and then we crashed back into the Stone Age. I think we actually devolved for a while, and that's where you get the Stone Age stuff. And then we re-evolved again out of the Stone Age because really we've got structures that are very, I mean, the structures are proving that we had people millions of years ago that knew how to build. Human beings are really much older than they let on, than they tell us. We did not evolve here. I'm 100% certain of it. We did not evolve here. So yeah, I see it the same way. We're just a developing species, and I think other species see us that way. The more advanced ones do see us that way, in fact. We're a developing species. You don't beat a kid, a decent person does not beat a kid up because they don't know the rules yet or because they've been misled. I mean, we look at and really we need to look at ourselves that way too sometimes when we start beating up ourselves. Would you do this to a kid who didn't know any better? Would you treat a child that way? You didn't know, if you did something and you didn't know any better, or you could have been better but you missed it, how would you treat a kid? Because in a lot of ways we still are. Okay. And this goes in with energy work too, is like, I'm not always at the top of my game. Sometimes I have to tell people I'm not, and I'll say, if I say something offensive, I really don't mean it. Okay. I don't mean it the way it sounds. Please. Today I'm a little bit off, and I know that I can blurt things without even knowing I said anything weird at all. I have hurt people without even knowing it. So a lot of times I stop and try to figure out if the person really meant to hurt me or not. And if they did, why? Why did they? This is all policing your own energy. And then I try not to let them live rent free in my head if they screwed me over. Although I gotta say, sometimes it comes around and bothers me. So and so, or sometimes there'll be a few hours where I go, so and so stole that from me, or whatever, or cheated me, or whatever. And but I try to get through that as fast as possible because you're really kind of hurting yourself when you are feeling that way. One of the things that I've heard that helps the attitude of a winner is, okay, so you stole from me. I'm going to make all that back and much more. And, that is going to be a pittance compared to what I'm going to have. that kind of attitude. So this is just sort of spiritual hygiene. Um, yeah, I try to pay attention, but you can't always hit it right. Um, how Canada used to be. Guys would get in a fight, duke it out, and then at the end of the night, they'd be best friends. That's how a lot of times it used to be in a lot of places. In fact, if you think about it, that's kind of how America always handled things. I mean, they went in, they beat the heck out of Japan, and then offered them the hand of friendship. That is absolutely the way that the U.S. used to function. I don't know about now. Yeah, who wants to play by this rule book? Well, I used to say this. You would be less concerned about what everybody thought about you if you knew how seldom they did. Usually, what are people thinking about? They're thinking about themselves. They're not even thinking about you most of the time. You know, it does matter what people think of you in the respect that, if they think you're a witch in certain ages, they'd burn you, they'd hurt you. Or, I have had times when it mattered what people thought of me, but for the most part, you can't be responsible for what everybody else thinks. It's not possible. You can't control that. Refracted projections in a hall of mirrors. That's an interesting way to put it. Well, yeah, of course. Passionate people are like that. And I don't mind blunt a lot of times. Sometimes I'll say, gee, tell me how you really feel. But yeah, most of the time I don't mind blunt. I can deal with that. And actually, I have known a lot of people with head issues, brain issues, like they don't think quite right. Run into a lot of that, got used to it, know how to handle that. Okay, just don't take it personally. Here's one of my biggest things to share with people. Don't take the universe personally. Don't take everything personally. Stuff happens. Don't take it personally. Right. Well, and love is a good thing. Yeah. Speaking of burning witches, well, Ben, thank you very much. Well, I think most of the people on this stream are decent people. I haven't really met anyone I would, uh, not recently anyway, that I would say was a bad person, really. Um, Even people who have at times caused some trouble. I wouldn't say they're really a horrible person. Um, Misguided, that can happen a lot. And love, here's another thing. Why do we do any of this? Why do I do this? I don't get paid. I don't ask for pay. I do this work. Oh, by the way, I happily will take donations. But it's for love, of course. Everybody who rises, we all rise. Everybody who's out, and because as an empath and having been through everything I've been through, I know what it's like to feel that way. I've been put through so much myself. I know what it's like to be homeless. And the guy that offered you a place to stay is now hitting on you and expecting things. I know exactly what that's like. When you're expected to sell your soul to try to keep your body alive, and when you're um, not sure what's going to happen. You know, the waiting is the hardest part, right? You don't know what's going to happen to you. You're uh, in limbo. Your life is in limbo. You know, I know what all this stuff feels like when it seems like everybody's trying to kill you. I went through that. Seemed like everybody and everything was trying to kill me for a while, you know, and you know, I know what that feels like. So I can't just turn away just because a person has no money and can't pay me. But I feel that really maybe that's why I got help too. A lot of times I got help for free when I needed it and I had no money. So what goes around comes around, you know? Trolls under the bridges. That's a good way to say it. Your vibe attracts your tribe. Well, I hope so. Well, I love you guys. You guys are great. And in that case, if that is an indicator, I must be really cool. I must be just great because you guys are just great. I don't know that you ever did, Ben. I don't think you ever did. I don't think I don't think you ever did cause me any trouble. Not that I can recall. Anyway, I don't let it kind of get to me. I'm going to put out the link if anyone wants to come in. David Castle, are you out there wanting to come in? Because that's okay if you are. I was going to put the link out. Okay. Or whoever wants to come in. Sometimes Ben wants to come in. Oops. I know what I forgot to do. You know what I forgot to do? Oh, shoot. I did that wrong. Hang on. We'll get there. There. Okay. There. Right there, I did that wrong. Okay. I've felt like 6 different people since I started listening. I don't know what you mean by that, Ben. I felt like 6 different people since I started listening. Okay. Well, see, that's the thing about chat is it's kind of hard to tell what a person means from chat. A lot of times it's hard. But anyway, anybody who wants to come in, there's the link. I'm going to put on, I didn't put on the intro. Let me put on the intro a minute here while you're deciding whether or not you want to come in. and gotten rid of the attachments. Well, yeah, that's just it, Ben. You're actually one of the success stories. You know, it's like when you first came here. One day I still want you to come in and tell your story when it's a good time for you because it's a good story. I mean, it's something that everybody can learn from. Is how Ben got a spiritual attachment and how we got rid of it for him and how his life changed since he got rid of it. Your life will change drastically if you have an unhealthy spiritual attachment. Your life will change drastically once you get rid of it. It will be an immense change a lot of times. When I look back on what my life was like when I still had all that, I had them. I had stuff attached to me that I picked up from all over. I didn't know what I was doing in the beginning. It was terribly burdensome. And when you finally get rid of it, it's just your life will change. And when you finally clear what the programming, the bad programming in your head, the bad code that's been programmed in there, when you finally rip that out once and for all, the last string of that, your life changes like automatically. You don't even have to think about it usually too much. It just changes because you've changed your energy. You've changed the code. You've changed that. It seriously is like that. You just changed the program now. Now you've got a different program. It's going to run this way instead of that way. It's that simple and that complicated because not everybody knows how to code either, right? And coding is a little bit different, but not much, honestly. Well, you know what? It's funny. Some signs have a tendency to have a harder time with that than others. And I should know because if you combine a Sagittarius with an Aries. I mean, I got a Sagittarius sun and an Aries rising. Aries are blunt, generally. Sagittarians can also be blunt. They want to be fair, but they can be blunt. And I can say something about people and not even have a clue how it was going to be taken. But yeah, I always apologize. I didn't mean it that way. Um, yeah, most of the time you got to remember that people that are finding a lot of fault with you and just hate you out of turn, they hate themselves. It's something in you that they see that's in them a lot of times. If they just hate you for no good reason, they're looking in a mirror at something that reminds them of something they don't like about themselves. Or another thing is sometimes this there was this one lady that used to get on the bus that she just hated me. Before I even got on the bus, she'd start cursing me out. She was like crazy, and she'd say all these things that had nothing to do with me. And I realized I reminded her of somebody in her family. And she just couldn't differentiate between me and whoever this other person was that was in her family. Because it was somebody who was doing something that I wasn't doing it, but they were. She thought they were anyway. And, you know, when she saw me, all that would come out. It's like, geez. So I finally told the bus service, so, when you come to pick me up, please try not to put me with that woman because she's nuts. You can play back because I know that they videotape everything. They recorded things on those buses. It's like, you play that back and tell me how sane that sounds. So I'm so glad they got that now so that they can play it back. I'm wondering if everyone feels like that, like they disturb the waters with their presence. Well, we do. Actually, we do change the water by our presence. Of course, we do. How can we not? You know, some people seem to be able to navigate a little better than others, right? Uh, oh, you bring out the narcissistic traits they don't like. Huh? You can make a narcissist lose it in 30 seconds flat. Good for you. They need to lose it. Does that mean you're going to stay away from me? Good. Right. Hey, did I upset you enough for you to stay away from me forever? Wow. That's great. You know, you know, I will tell you too, there are spiritual things that are trying to be scary and trying to be very off-putting and nasty. And if you laugh at them, if you're not afraid and you freaking laugh at them, they get so upset they can't even function right anymore. I mean, I had something, I don't know whether it was a demon or what it was. I had something that I was getting rid of for a person, and I just like, look at who I'm with. Seriously? You think you're going to kick my butt? Are you kidding me? You're kidding, right? You know, that wasn't bragging. It was the truth. If you get a look at who I travel with, I have a buddy who's literally a giant size buddy, a giant size spirit, a giant size friend, guide, whatever you want to call him. Not somebody I'd want to argue with. Okay. A great big armed guy, you know, not somebody you'd want to argue with. And then all of these other guys here. Um, wow. I feel sorry for you. You know, is my attitude, and I have to have that attitude because if you it's like show a sign of weakness, it's not good. Um, Compassion, perhaps, but you can't be too compassionate of something, so they'll use it against you. Especially narcissists will use it against you. That lady's reaction. Oh, yeah. Well, sure. Oh, yeah. I know a psychic who would probably call I'm trying to think of which lady we're talking about. Oh, the lady I was talking about. Yeah, probably. I think she did. And I couldn't do much about it because she liked it. She was all into it. And she was not into what I could talk about, so I couldn't do much about it. Except just block it from, bothering me. Um, yeah, I think that too. A lot of us, because we can sense it, they get kind of, whoa, bing, 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 bing. This one can see. Yeah. We do that so much in here. We're all thinking the same thing. Okay, hang on. Oh, there. Yeah, it's definitely um that's something I noticed. Yeah, I am attracting my tribe. I so many times you guys will say exactly what's on my mind, one or the other of you. YJ most often, but all of you from time to time will say things exactly what I'm thinking. You know, I've had to get used to that. Hey, Sandra, how you doing? So really, that's probably the biggest thing about it is you have to realize when you're doing these healings and these clearings is there may be a reaction. There may be a kickback of some sort. You just have to be ready for that, but you just have to not let it scare you and stay neutral. And actually, some people take care of it. They just, now, John from Max Vision, he says he just loves it to death. He just kills it with love. Okay. So some of you may adopt that technique. You just throw so much love at it that it just absolutely stifles it and it just can't take it. And that is another very valid technique. You can use that. Um, there's all kinds of ways to do this. Oh, you were out for a night stroll with the baby. With the baby. Baby. Okay. Um, here's Ben coming in. Okay. Hi,
Uh,
Ben.
hey, I don't know why, but my camera's pointing the other way.
Oh, you need to turn it around, I guess.
I mean, I can't see the screen if I turn it around.
Oh, I think I see your nose.
No,
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe not. Hmm. I don't know. Anyway, I was thinking if you guys are uh, up for it, I could do a couple of processes and some clearings and some. I'll tell you what we can do before we get really going with Ben. And Ben, you can do this with us. How about? Or
all
maybe
right.
while you're working on whatever you're working on there. Um,
That's just
let's
my
do the
backyard over there.
let's do the expanding bit thing, okay?
Yeah,
So what
sure.
I want you to do is feel the edges of your aura. Just feel the edges of you. The edges of you. You don't need to even know what an aura is. Feel yourself. Where do you end? You know, not your body, not your body, but really you. And then expand that and expand that and expand it out further and keep going and bigger and uncrimp yourself because you've been trying to stuff yourself into this little avatar and it doesn't fit. So just keep going. Iron out any little creases or crinks in there, crinkles from trying to stuff yourself in a tiny little avatar.
Hmm.
Just kind of smooth them out. And now take your, and you don't have to think about this too much. You know how to do this kind of automatically, although you don't know you know how to, but just take your chakras and slide them back to your spine, and they will automatically line up along your spine. Sit up straight as you can, and just slide them back. Just imagine them doing it, and they'll just do it. This is part of the maintenance of your astral body, okay? Your energy body. This is part of the maintenance. So I'm going to do this probably every time now. At some point, I'm going to say, expand yourself out, put your chakras back where they belong so that you can be comfortable
Damn,
and
I felt that.
feel, huh?
I felt that.
You probably will. Most people do feel that. Interestingly enough, I know you don't realize you know how to do these things. Nobody teaches you to do these things except I do. And somebody
Damn.
very kindly taught me. But this should be passed from, parents to child. We should be teaching our children how to do these things.
Wow. I feel different.
Yeah, you feel a lot different now, right? Okay, well, thank you for confirming that.
My
Another
spine.
thing,
I usually have like back problems and stuff. I don't really feel that anymore.
yeah, I don't know how I can't say I understand everything about it, but somehow we use our chakra wheels, our energy centers, to do things. We actually, and YJ was saying it this way, as appendages, almost as appendages. Yeah, we
Oh,
almost do. And I don't think anybody's ever said that before. I don't think I've ever heard anybody actually say it that way, but we do. We kind of use them like appendages.
that would make sense.
There's some reason we got them, right?
I guess you're right.
Right. When you say your heart goes out to somebody, your heart is actually, your heart chakra is moving in that direction. You got to bring it back.
Yeah.
Literally, your heart goes out. Here's another thing. If you are feeling, there are sayings like this that are absolutely true. If you're feeling like you're beside yourself with grief or something, you probably are. You
Wow.
don't want to be in your body and feel it. So
Yeah.
you actually are sliding out of yourself. And sometimes I actually see people sitting next to themselves because they're not in their body. They don't want to be. It's icky in there right now and it hurts. And so they're actually out of their body a
Hmm.
little bit and don't realize it. They're off kilter. So you got to slide yourself back in and center yourself. And that's what we mean by centering yourself. Okay. So, just feel whichever way you're not centered and just kind of slide yourself back where it lines up with your spine again.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll feel a lot better. I think it's more than a theory, think you're on, but well, thank you. Oh, Circle K. Oh, a Circle K theory. Theory about everyone having their own song. Yes, I think so. I think everybody has their own song. You were always on my mind. If there is a way to figure out what our frequency is, if it's measurable, um, we're in a pretty deep discussion. Like I told you, Sandra, hey, the name says deep woo. We're going pretty deep here, talking about the etheric and the healing and the energy work and stuff. So anyway, what were you going to say, Ben?
I'm that's a very good statement that Circle K made. I wonder if can you look at somebody and tell their song or what are different people's songs?
Um, I think maybe it even changes from time to time,
Yeah, I bet it does. Yeah.
but yeah, there was actually a song about that. There was make your own kind of music, sing your own special song, even if nobody else sings along.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, well, yeah, I mean,
So if Circle
you
K said
are,
she heard her own song, what was it?
yeah, can was it one like a commercial song or was it just a melody that you heard? We inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to know. We want to know everything. We're smartass that way. But yeah, is there a way in somebody, was it YJ, maybe asking, can we find our frequency? Is there a way to measure? There probably is. But do we have a sensitive enough instrument to do that? Or do we have to use, you know, I think I'm going to ask for that. Hey, you know what? We can ask for gifts. We can ask to have gifts. Why not ask for it? Whoever said that, why don't you just ask to have that gift so that you can measure it? So I desire to be able to measure people's frequency and be able to tell them what frequency they are. That would be cool. Oh, Ben, you got some wind chimes, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful music there. That's pretty background.
Thank you.
So when you do this YJ says, when I do this expansion, I pay attention to how it interacts with the other consciousness around me. That's a good thing. Let's do it again and see if we can pick up anything like what's near us. This is an interesting exercise, too. Like, can you feel what's on the other side of the wall? Kind of,
The
you
wall.
know? Can you feel, well, I can feel the people on this stream. I don't always know that's what I'm doing. Um, Once again, sometimes I kind of get airheaded and go, oh, wait, that's everybody on the stream that I'm feeling. Maybe that's why I get really tired sometimes. But right now I feel very energized because you all feel better. So actually, if I help you feel better, then I'm going to feel better.
Hmm. Well, you've helped me to feel better for sure.
Well, thank you. Okay, next one, next extending of ourselves is it's time to go down. It's time to break on through to the other side. So send your roots down. It's not that you're going down, it's you're sending your roots down because you need to be nourished. We don't do this enough. We don't take the nourishment. We're not taught to do that. Down, 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 down. Send your roots down, roots down. Just imagine you've got roots. Send them down to tap into the energy down, down, down. And then if you go down far enough and farther and farther and farther, then you just break through. Eventually, you will break through to somewhere that is a lot of space. And you'll feel spacious. The only thing is, I do have to warn some people when we do these exercises, it can become kind of weird to walk sometimes because your energy has been expanded to the point where your physical body is may kind of have to readjust itself to things like walking. People have reported that. So this is why I say don't be driving a car or something, okay? Get yourself somewhere safe when you do these exercises. Um, yeah, planets and stars do have resonance too. I mean, they've even recorded the song of the various planets, how they sound. Yeah, oh, I pick up on everybody sometimes and I don't even realize it. I got to keep reminding myself I do that. Okay? We all do, not just me. You don't know you do, but you do. You're way more aware than you think you are. And that should give you a clue as to why a lot of this stuff happens. Is you can get entangled with other people's energy.
Is that a good
And
thing or a bad thing?
it depends. Um, depends on what their energy is like.
Yeah.
There are some situations where it's kind of expected that you do, like marriage. I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of expected. But I'd say for the most part, it's good to detangle yourself from time to time. Like you need a little bit of a spiritual detangler or something because it can get pretty confusing sometimes.
Hmm.
And then you just kind of build on each other's angst sometimes instead of helping each other.
Yeah, you're
Uh,
right. Yeah.
yeah. So you got to watch that. And remember, when you do a clearing and you clear something, say, okay, I'm going to have you do this. Now, don't be afraid, because anything you clear, if you really, really want it back, you can have it back. You can remake that thing. But you can also say something like, what attitudes, okay, wait, let me get this. Okay, you can also say something like, just imagine, I'm just going to drop all of my attitudes about all my relationships. Boom. Like a heavy stone.
Yeah. You're
And
right.
then you can, whatever you need back, you can always put back. But most of what you've got, you don't need. I mean, as a matter of fact, usually all of what you got, you don't need. You should be in the moment, you
Yeah.
know, you
Yep.
shouldn't be in the past. So, really, you might want to practice that kind of thing too and just see it like a bunch of cords on you and just let them pop right off and drop on the ground and walk away from them. Just let them sink right into the ground because you really mostly don't need any of that stuff. And
Wow.
when you realize we hold on to too much stuff in our auric bodies,
Yeah. Oh, well.
all kinds of crap in there. That's how things get stuck to us and we don't know
Yeah.
because we're already kind of cluttered. We don't realize something else gets hooked onto us. It's really nasty. And all of a sudden we're tired and we're in pain or whatever. And it's nasty. We don't even know. Oh, you dreamt you had a giant hole in the living room and you weren't fussed about it. Well, you might have had a portal open in your living room. This can happen. But maybe it wasn't a threatening one. That's Circle K. Feel my Anna Cat's love or presence? Yes, presence. Oh, yes, YJ. This is a beginning to be able to energetically locate people. Yes, it is. Um, some people get really good at that. Interesting. I could feel when the Sasquatch I was my speaking to, when they moved somewhere, I could even feel where they moved to. They moved up by the Twin Lakes up there
They moved?
because, well, they just took off for what they weren't back here. They weren't in the bog
Yeah.
or in this area in the back here. After they got done talking to me, they moved on, and it was hot summer, and they moved on up to the lakes, and I could even kind of feel the cool water. It's like, oh, they're up by the lake.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's
What
kind of strange.
what are Sasquatches?
Um, as far as we know, Ben, they're another version of us. They're like when let's see, we our genetics took one turn, their genetics took another, but
Okay.
they're in our family tree actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we're relatives, and they say now this is from experiencers saying that what that talk to them that say they talk to them, and once again you can take this or leave the anything that I say here or
Yes,
anything that
man.
anybody says, but the experiencers have said what they got from the Sasquatch, and I think it was Duke and I think Robin confirmed this, is that they are both us and star people. So
Yeah, that
they
makes
are
sense.
a hybrid. They are a hybrid creature.
Okay.
So, but then again, we are too. We're
Yeah, we are.
hybrids, I
We
believe.
definitely are.
So I believe probably everybody on Earth is some kind of hybrid. It's just we've managed to get a little bit of a consistency from all this interbreeding. But
But
honestly, I think we all are hybrids. Yeah.
so we're probably all an alien you know experiment, probably.
Well, apparently, if you would believe the Sumerian stories, which predate the Bible,
Yeah.
then yeah, we're an experiment. We actually were an experiment mixed together by the one known as Ea or
Mm.
Inki and his
Thank
sister
you. Yeah.
Ninhursag.
Okay.
So, and if that is so, um, then we are a hybrid, and we were an experiment at the time. However, that doesn't mean that uh, that doesn't make us any less than we are. I mean, we turned out with some very astonishing traits, I guess. But in that case, we're related to the Anunnaki as well. So if they use their genetics, which apparently they did since Ninhursag was the womb for this to make the first ones,
Okay.
um, then which was Inky's sister, then yeah, we must be related to the Anunnaki. And really, we are a lot like them. The thing that I think is the funniest likeness is other than we've got, our head, two arms, two legs, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
is they loved beer.
Really. That makes
Yes,
them a lot like me.
they loved beer. A lot of us still to this day love beer. So,
Mhm.
they had beer. They were probably the ones that showed us how to make beer.
Hmm.
I don't drink beer myself. It gives me the blues, but hey, I kind of understand. It's like I used to drink beer when I was younger before I understood what it was doing to my physical body. But yeah, it's like, they used used to drink beer. That's so funny. And they would drink beer and then they would do experiments and see
Yeah,
what they could come up with.
yeah.
Is that bizarre to think? No, that's how they
And
were.
no, not really, because not really. Uh, everybody likes beer. I love beer. Hey, Mama D, I got a question for you.
Yep.
When did you first know that you had these gifts? I'm sorry, I have a hoodie on and a mask
Which
on.
gifts?
A
I've
gift
had
of
different ones at different.
well, yeah, you do. You definitely do. You have a good gift. You have a good song voice gift. You have a good gift of intelligence. You're definitely an intelligent person.
Well,
You have
thank you.
but I mean, how how do you get the intuitiveness, the gift? When did you know that you had that?
Uh, well, they came in at different times, or I noticed them at different times. Let's put it that way. I noticed my different gifts at different times. In fact, I've always been a medium. I just didn't know I was. I didn't
Okay.
know that's what it was called. I didn't know that's what was happening. I've always been empathic. I had no idea what an empath was. I was too young. Nobody mentioned those words. That word wasn't even around. But when it started being explained, I started to say, oh, is that what's going on with me? In so
When you
many
were,
ways, it's
I'm
more
sorry.
like a discovery of, oh, that's what's going on with me.
Yeah.
Like when I had to admit I was a medium was the time that, because really there's religious things against being a medium in some
Yeah, I
churches.
know. I know it. I know it. You're
And
absolutely right.
you have to be careful. And so I never was admitting to myself for a long time that what I was a medium. That's what I was doing.
What uh
And
what religion did you grow up in?
I grew up in Christian religion. First, we were, um, well, I'm going to skip to the main one.
All right.
Um, the main one that I grew up with would be considered, oh, well, my parents took me to see a faith healer. Took all of it. We went to a faith healer church.
Okay.
Catherine Kuhlman, charismatic. That's what they called them, the
Charismatic.
charismatic
Okay.
movement.
All right. All right.
So it's basically Christian, and the
So it was
charismatic movement was all about being able to perform healing without having to touch the person with energy work, and it was a type of energy work,
yes, ma'am. That's
and it was
wow. Okay. That,
it was
that-
attributed to God, of course, and
yeah,
angels and stuff. But
definitely.
and it still is God's energy. I mean, if you think about
Yeah,
it,
it
it
is.
still is,
Yeah.
even now.
Yeah.
It just depends on how you understand that. So, yeah, that gave me, which is really good because that gave me the concept that this could happen, that the energy work could happen, that things could happen without you touching the person. That I actually felt. I went up on the stage and felt what they call the uh, when you basically get hit with energy.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what they call it now, but um, slain in the spirit,
Mm-hmm.
and it knocks some people out.
Mm-hmm.
It is, yeah, it's like an energy bolt, and it can actually clear your programs. Really, I think what it's doing is it is like an energy bolt. And when it's healing people, what it's probably doing is just clearing that program with a jolt of energy.
Yeah.
If we're looking at it from a mechanistic point of view, that's probably what's going on there. But
Yeah.
yeah, I have felt that. I sang up on stage. I was in the children's choir. I was up there with her every year around Christmas singing. So I was in a close proximity to that, and I could feel the energy. I could see stuff. I didn't know how to explain any of that. Like I said, when I was a kid, I asked all the wrong questions, though, and they got shut down because even though
Hmm.
all this was happening, they couldn't really explain how,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
And then they
So,
didn't want it to be happening with you. A lot of people could only handle it happening with her. And
yeah.
if
Yeah.
you're doing stuff like that, then, that kind of detracts or something. I don't know what people think. But anyway, it was, yeah, weird that some of this stuff was happening with me too.
So after
Um,
the religion, like just the religion thing, what in your life made you realize that, you have a special insight?
well, my friends gave me feedback on that all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, this was even way back when I was in college. I'd say something, and first a lot of people would laugh and try to take it apart, and then later on they'd find out I was right.
Mm.
It's like, whoa, how did you know that?
Hmm.
I don't know. You know, there's one of my friends that, like, 20 years later, she goes, "Oh my God, you were right about everything you said."
Wow.
It's like, well, yeah.
That must have
How
been
did you
cathartic,
know
huh?
all that? I don't know. And then they ask you how you know. I don't know. Why would you just came into my mind? Am I connected to a higher power? Yes, I am. Am I connected to my own larger self? Yes, I sure am. You're connected to your own larger self now. I mean, every time you do that expansion exercise, you're connecting more and realizing more that you are a vast being. You are not a little tiny avatar. And I please ask you, please, please do remember that. And so do that exercise whenever you're feeling like you're just a little tiny avatar, okay? To remind yourself that you're not. You're bigger than that. You are greater than the world. And you know what? Yeshua said that, the one they called Jesus. His name would
Hmm.
have been Yeshua. But
Hmm.
I did a lot of studying of alternative religions too. And there are some religions like the King Jamesites that actually hate when, oh, you're studying another text. It's like I studied all the other texts
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
wanted to know the truth.
Yes, man.
I didn't want to be a dum dum.
Yeah,
Obviously,
you're
there were
right.
things going on people couldn't explain to me.
You're right. I did the same thing. But wow.
Yeah, inquiring minds want to know,
You're
right?
right. You're right.
And so we're going to find out one way or another. You know what? Thank you so much. Ah, that is so sweet, love. Thank you. She's saying that my voice, my vibe, and my mind are gifts, and I think you all are
Absolutely.
gifts. All of you are gifts. Oh, you grew up Pentecostal Southern Baptist Apostolic. Oh, wow. Wow, yeah, revival tent magic, Holy Ghost stuff. Oh, wow, yeah. Yeah, so you got that too, love. You kind of got that background too, where you saw stuff happen. That, yeah, yeah, energy, spirit of God, right. Yeah. The Holy Ghost is actually, as far as I understand it, the Holy Ghost is actually the manifesting arm of God, the part that manifests things.
Mm.
Sort of like your mother creates, takes the cells and grows them into a kid. The Holy Ghost does that in reality. The Holy Ghost is the part of God that manifests things, in my opinion and in my experience. So, and that energy that you feel going through, they say that is the Holy Ghost. That's because that is the frequency. That is the frequency. That's the energy. That's the jolt of power is coming from that. It's also called Reiki energy. This is why Reiki is actually translates to love of God, which means that when somebody's putting their hands on you or putting your hands at you, because some of you, even when I'm doing this and I'm not touching you, you're going to feel something. That is because this energy of Reiki is actually God's energy too. So in effect, it's their version of the Holy Spirit energy. And it's, yeah, only in a little bit different. It comes out in just a little bit different way. I realize this because what is the Pentecostal stuff, the charismatic stuff, laying on of hands type stuff. What is that? It's the same as Reiki. That's basically what that is. That energy of God, that love of God, can change matter, what we consider matter, but we know that there is really no matter. There's only vibration. There's only frequency. It can change the frequency. It can, like, you zap something in your computer and change it. It changes that information. When I think, see, I did do a lot of studying. I actually did, Ben. I studied and I tried I listened to all kinds of teachers because I was sick for a long time and I didn't have much else to do except question things. While I was sick and couldn't do very much, I questioned everything and I studied a lot of things. I studied every kind of healing, all kinds of religions, just to understand them more, just to get the truth. Because I knew that I wasn't being told the whole truth. I mean, I could tell. Kind of hard to hide it after a while if you're psychic, right? If you're a sensitive and you're a psychic and you're an empath, and there are all kinds of things people can't explain to you, they don't have the answer then.
What is Agartha?
Agartha is supposedly, as I understand it, a hollow inner earth. It is that the earth is a toroidal shape, and that Agartha is within the earth somehow. So it's a land inside the earth, which would be like, I'm trying to think what they would call it. It would be, see, this is the thing. We've already come up with this idea. Science fiction's already explored this. Living outside of a spinning something is not really maybe optimum. You might be better off living inside it, but then having gravity, what you'd do is you'd want it to spin, and then the Coriolis effect would give you the gravity effect, right?
Yeah.
But so the thing is we're even still trying to understand, okay, so Isaac Newton supposedly discovered gravity, supposedly, but can we really explain it? We're only just now beginning to explain what that is. That heavier objects bend space
Yeah.
more than lighter ones. Gravity is not even what we've been told it is.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Hey, Mama D. So, Circle K said, turns out a hole in the floor isn't such a bad dream. Is it?
Not necessarily. I wouldn't. Uh, it depends on what you see in there. Do you see anything? I mean, is anything coming out of it or going into it? I mean, I would be careful stepping there because that might be a portal or a vortex.
Yeah, he did say it
I
was
think it
a
would be
portal,
kind of
maybe.
careful. And because a lot of times sometimes these things open naturally, and then sometimes people open them and forget to close them. I have had many instances where I had to close portals because people left them open and things were just coming through randomly, which is, I think, part of when we see really weird cryptids that don't even belong in this reality, or stuff that happens that doesn't even belong in this reality. It might be due to portals. It might be just a portal opened up. I wonder sometimes about that. If there are some that may be even maybe some of the missing people.
Hmm, I'm just putting stuff together right now.
Um, well, Garth is making whole jokes in your mind. Is it holy
No,
holy?
nah, head like a whole black as your soul. I want to fly. Hey. Y'all know Alice in Chains?
Yeah, I know Alice in Chains. I'm trying to figure out which one that is. And I've heard them all. So I can't place that one in my mind right now.
And then there's Radiohead. Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Yeah, where is my mind? Sorry.
Um,
Sorry for
well,
hijacking the show.
head like a hole. Yeah, I remember that one. Head like a hole, black as your soul.
Yeah,
I remember that one. But where is my mind? If you could read my mind, love, what a tale my thoughts would tell. But my mind, sometimes, I swear, I do these exercises and then I sit there and I think, wow, this is such a weird reality we're in.
it is.
It's like being high or something.
Yeah,
Um, it's actually like being high. Surprising interpretations, but nothing about portals. Okay. Um, where is my mind? Is the Pixies.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Dang, it was not the Shins, it was the Pixies. Okay. I'm glad you guys remember. I don't remember every single song. Contrary to popular belief, there was somebody that called me Miss, Encyclopedia of Music or something at one
Really?
point. So I know a lot of, and it was kind of derogatory. It was like Miss Encyclopedia of World Book Encyclopedia of Music. It's like, well, I'm really not, but I used to listen to a lot of music, so and sing along with it. So that's how I know some of these things.
Yeah. Hey, you want me to tell you what happened to me when I was younger?
Which thing?
The Ouija board.
Oh, the Ouija board thing. You want to do your Ouija board story now?
Yeah, I mean, if you want me to.
Um, well,
You
sure.
don't have to.
Okay. Um, you guys want to hear about how he got his attachment and how he lost his attachment? I think you should do it, Ben. Go right ahead. It's a good night.
Okay. So we were younger, and my grandma's house was a haunted house. It was always said that it was built over a slave graveyard. I don't know. Might have been, might have not been, but it's definitely, it was. They had ghosts and strange happenings going on over there. So my grandma, for some reason, let's say I was about uh, 13 when it started. So she would always want us to play with the Ouija board. My mom was like, "No, y'all can't play with the Ouija board." But my grandma would push it on us, like, "Y'all play with the Ouija board. Your mom's not here," which is pretty strange now that I'm thinking about it. But so we played with the Ouija board. You know, my brother. So this whole
Was
incident.
this, I got a question, Ben. Was this that Milton Bradley Ouija board from the store or something else?
Yeah, it was probably it was like highly polished. Kind of. It looked like a Ouija board from the store.
Okay, so that was marketed to kids as a kid's toy.
Yeah,
Duh. How ridiculous, huh?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's really not a
Did
game,
she
though.
did she tell you what to do? Did she give you any instructions?
No, but it would be. It'd always be. Why don't you? There was a bunch of board games they had over there, and she would always be. Y'all play with the Ouija board. Here, play with this. So we did.
Ew.
Eventually, we did, even though my mom told us not to. And so we played with it, and it was cool. It would tell us what we wanted to hear.
Weird
And
that grandma wanted you to do this and your mom was saying no, isn't it?
yep, yeah,
Almost like your mom knew something
yeah, yeah. But
or suspected something.
well, I think she suspected. I don't think she knew, but I don't know. It was there. I mean, I don't know. Maybe she knew more than what she told us. But for some reason, my grandma wanted us to play with it. So we played with it at the house, and me and my brother and my brother's best friend mainly played with it. And it would, we played with it and shit like that. It was working.
Oh, question. What religion were you raised in, Ben?
Catholic.
Catholic. Okay.
South Louisiana. That's where I'm Catholic.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
we brought it home, and I didn't really mess with it much. My brother and his friend would play it every day. I was like, son, let me see what's going on with this. So I played with him, and I asked the thing questions that nobody knew, and it would give me exact answers. So my grandfather had just died, and I thought, you know, maybe this might be my grandfather talking to me. We all kind of thought that. So we would ask questions, and we asked it its name. And I'm not going to say its name, and it's not the normal name.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, but
So it might have been an entity name.
I don't know what the name was. I know what the name was, but it's not any name I've ever seen before. I even Googled it, and I've never heard of it before. Uh,
Okay.
but it started off telling us things that we wanted to know,
Hmm.
and it would tell us exactly what we wanted to hear, down to who, like, out who's my next girlfriend, and it's this girl that you want to be your girlfriend. It'll tell you that. It'll definitely tell you that. And it would spell it all out. I asked them who was going to win the NFL championship, and it would spell out exactly what you thinking. But it got a hold on my brother and my brother's friend. Not as much my brother's friend, but my brother. So, and to let you know, my brother is a doctor right now. So he asked the Ouija board what he's going to be. It told him he's going to be a doctor, and we laughed our ass off because he was making F's in school.
Wow.
And we asked it other shit, and it would tell you what you want to hear. Then, we put it away for a little while. Well, I don't know if my brother did. I was like done with it. But my brother was washing my mom's car, and he saw a figure out the corner of his eye, like a 6 foot something figure, maybe taller, 6'5" or whatever. And so he had a squeegee on top of the car, and the squeegee started falling down, and it was like in rapid pace, like faster than it should have been falling. And all of a sudden, it changed directions, and it went into the what a door catch is on a car,
Yeah, I think so.
the place where, okay, it's like a square thing where you close a door on a car, and a door
Yeah.
handle that it catches it. Yeah, it went in there.
Hmm.
So he asked it like later if it did that, and said, yeah, it did that.
Hmm.
So he kept on playing with the Ouija board. I think he was starting to play with it by himself. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Uh, but so we live in the swamp in South Louisiana. So we had a bonfire, and we had smoked some weed that night. One of our friends, which is uh, my brother's best friend, decided for some reason he's gonna huff brake cleaner. And this is the late '90s, you know. No, maybe not the late '90s. Yeah, probably about the 1997 or eight. So he decided he's gonna do that. I'm like, bro, why the fuck you know, asking him why. He was like, no, don't worry about it, bro. I'll be cool. Yeah. So he did that. Then, we make the bonfire, and then we next thing we know, The dude drops to his knees. And you're thinking, is okay, he's probably fucked up from the brake cleaner. But he starts speaking in something else that's a language in a different voice, but it was absolutely a language. So it kind of freaked us out a little bit. And we were like, what the fuck is wrong with this dude? You know, I don't want to say his name. And
Mm.
he'd be like, oh, nothing's wrong with me. And this dude was really dumb. Like he didn't know he failed a couple times. He wasn't really good at um, any kind of English or big words or anything like that.
Hmm.
So everything we would say, he would have a really sharp, smart comeback. And it was like, wow, this is not this dude. What the hell is going on?
Speaking in tongues,
And, I don't know about tongues, but a different language. Yeah,
that's usually what they call it when people do that.
yeah. It could be. It could be.
So now he's speaking, though he's obviously not hit the same dude.
No, absolutely not.
So
Absolutely not.
somebody else is really speaking, not him.
Exactly. So my dad had two big ponds. So we went around. We were scared as shit after that. We went around the pond and we all pretty much figured out what the hell was going on. And we started whispering to each other about, is he bullshitting us? You know? And he would answer from about, I guess, about 75 yards away. Oh, no, I'm not. Every single
So
thing we
he,
said
he
in
couldn't hear
whispers.
you,
No,
possibly,
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
out far away, but he was still hearing everything
Yep.
somehow.
Yep. Somehow he was.
Oh,
And
it
he would
doesn't sound
answer.
human either, does it?
What?
That doesn't really sound like him either, huh? Anything he'd
I
be able
mean,
to do either. Not a regular human.
it wouldn't, it's not humanly possible for him to hear us, you know?
Right.
So we would ask each other different things and we'd kind of test it because, you know, we didn't want to believe it, you know, and so he would answer every single time. Then we went walk up to him. We gathered we pulled up our nuts. We went walk up to him and talked to him. He was asking my brother to take his hand. Like I wasn't letting that happen because I could tell whatever it was wanted to get to my brother. Right?
Mm-hmm.
He used his best friend to do it. So
Mm-hmm.
he was asking my brother to take his hand. I did not let that shit happen. You know, I held my brother back. I'm the
Mm-hmm.
big brother, you know, so
Mm-hmm.
I held my brother back. And some other people drove up and, you know, we told them like some smart ass people, like people that were like uh, smart asses, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And they started telling them things, and I saw it was distracting them. So it didn't work all the way. But we just knelt down and started praying. And then the dude just snapped out of it, completely snapped out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, he does not remember, because I still talk to him this day. He does not remember what happened. He does not remember that anything did happen.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean,
So he doesn't remember any of that. So what happened to bring you to what happened with you here? How did you get your attachment?
I don't know.
Through that, you think?
It could possibly be because I don't think we ever close it the right way.
Yeah, and that's a big thing is if you never close a Ouija board, if you never do a closing ceremony, you're kind of leaving it open. So now the first time you told me that story, it was a little bit different. Do you
How so?
realize that? The first time I heard you tell that story, he did manage to touch your brother.
No, it didn't. He didn't.
But now we're in a different reality, Ben, I think. I think what's happened is we're now in a reality because we changed it. Your brother never got hit like he was going to. You know what? This is something I got to tell you guys. Okay, so you had an attachment. You do remember having an attachment when you came here that you thought was from this Ouija board. That's what you told me.
Yep.
Okay, so could you describe what happened when you came here?
Mm,
Do you remember?
no, not really. I don't really remember it.
All right. Very interesting. Because, yeah, it's probably been too long. Because I will tell you a strange secret about when we do these things.
All right.
Now, but you know that somehow we freed you up from an attachment. We did some work on you and you lost your attachment and you felt,
Yes, ma'am.
how did you feel afterwards after
Uh,
you lost your
a
attachment?
lot, a lot different. I mean, a lot lighter. I felt a lot different, a lot less negative.
Right. And then what happened with your work? You remember that you were in a different job? See, the way I remember is you were in a different job and you didn't like it very well and you were looking for a better job.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you
But
remember that part?
uh, no, that's I really
Hmm.
don't.
See, this is interesting because I think a lot of us, if Bomber were here, she'd probably remember that too. Because those of us that were here, let me tell you something interesting about energy work. And then another time you came here not very long ago, you had something or other on you and I pulled it off again, right?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
I
right
know.
too? Right. And you felt better again then, right?
Yep.
Okay. Let me tell you something funny about energy work that I've learned. If you totally clear something, then it's like it never happened. If you totally clear something, it will start to become the new reality. That's why you can't remember. I wondered if you would be able to remember. A lot of times, and I don't know, maybe this is why people remember I did something. Sometimes they don't even remember what they came for, but they know they felt better when they didn't feel so good when they came and they felt better when they left. And that's
Yeah.
all they remember. Why is that? Because if you really totally clear something, you have changed the past. You have now erased that part of the past. That is now a different timeline. So, what you told us when you first came here was a different timeline that got erased. And in that one, and the thing is we've got it recorded of you talking about it then.
Yeah.
I'm going to compare it just to make sure it's not just my memory.
Okay.
But
What
in
do you
in this
remember?
case, in this case, it could be because I've seen this many times where that event did not happen in the timeline that you're in now. Where
Uh,
the event that hurt you is no longer we changed it to the point where, and I know this is a hard concept to fathom, that we actually, yes, can change the past.
okay. I'm understanding what you're saying, but what do you remember that's different?
I remember, okay, the way I recall it, it jumped to your brother, then it jumped to something happened to you too. Um, and after that, things were never the same.
Mm,
Um,
nah.
and
Well,
something like that.
my brother had a different experience during the time I might have told you about the
Mm-hmm.
succubus experience. But
And then there's a succubus experience was another thing you told us about. You want to tell us about that one?
well, all right. I'm gonna be graphic about this. Uh,
Okay, we'll close our ears. No, we won't.
so my my brother, uh, my brother during this time, during the time with the Ouija board, he was sleeping, and all of a sudden he was okay. He was young and like probably about 15 or 16, I guess. So his testosterone was just through the roof. So all of a sudden, there's this beautiful woman on his bed, and I don't remember exactly how he told me, but it was he remembered the fan, listening to the fan blades move. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but that was a good that was a definite point on it. So he had this woman in his bed. Well, I mean, I don't know where the fuck he thought she came from, but she was a
Hi,
beautiful
Marilena.
woman. Hi,
Well,
Milena.
Marilena came in.
Hi, Marilyn.
So you were, this beautiful woman was there.
Yeah, and then she starts uh, blowing him.
Hmm.
Nah, I don't know what else, how performing or whatever. And
Yeah, okay,
then,
well, we got it.
okay,
I think we all got it.
yeah. Um, and she looked up at him, and she has jagged, like fucking wolf man teeth, like dog man teeth.
Yikes.
Yeah, and
That would
her
be
eyes, her
scary,
eyes
wouldn't
were completely different.
it? Oh, 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 scary, huh? Ben, it's Ben,
Yeah.
Marilena. Ben is on.
Hey, Marilyn, I'm Ben. Yeah. So that happened. He went running to my sister's room.
Well, what did he do? That would be pretty scary. Did he let
Yeah.
things continue to the
Uh,
end or did he stop it?
no, he ran. It freaked him. It freaked him out pretty bad. He ran away.
I think I would too. In that
Yeah.
case,
Me too.
that would be pretty bad.
Yeah.
Wow. That's that would be pretty scary.
And so he had that.
And
That's
Love is saying maybe it was a jinn. Maybe it was a jinn, an evil jinn. You
I
know,
don't know. I
sounds
mean,
like a succubus, though, Love.
I don't know.
Or
It does sound like a succubus.
sounds like a succubus. They're sexual. Their attacks are mostly sexual. And they'll come up as whichever sex you want to see, really. Usually for men, they come up as women. Usually for women, they come up as men, which in
Men,
which case they're
the
incubus.
yeah, incubus and succubus.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're sexual demons, basically. And supposedly they can change from one to the other back and forth.
Ugh,
So,
that's the worst part of
anyway.
all.
Hmm?
Just joking.
So, anyway, to go on with this alternative timeline thing, my friend Paul had an experience where that he told me about. I've heard this over and over. This is why a lot of people say you need to write down what was wrong with you, what you wanted help with before I help you. As I found out from my teacher Lola, that the reason she asked people to do that is because once she would clear them, they would totally forget that what they even came for because it never happened in the new timeline. This is something she found out. Actually, I
Okay.
think we found this out too. Is like once you completely clear something, it never happened. It's taken out of the timeline, just as if you ripped up some bad code, right? Once again, this is and then the person gets to where they don't even remember the original way that it happened. And if you try to tell them, they say bullshit, just like Ben is now. And I know that it's not because he's trying to, be opposite or anything, but that's the way it happened for him this time. In this timeline, it happened differently than the first time he told me about it. That I remember, the timeline that I remember him telling me about. Now, this is why I say when you argue with people, sometimes, and they're willing to die on that hill, just let them have it. Just because maybe, what do I always say? People experience things differently.
Yeah.
They might actually have experienced a different timeline than you. Especially these days, we have all kinds of really weird shit like that happening. Okay. And I literally, Paul said he had a woman came to him with back problems. Her explanation at first was uh, they, her friends were climbing up a hill. They put the backpack in her, or the 6-pack in her backpack, and she was carrying it up the hill, and it threw her back out, and she had pain ever since. Could Paul fix it? Paul said okay, and Paul fixed it. Next thing he knows is this woman is turning to somebody else, is talking to somebody else about the incident, says, yeah, it was weird. I had this weird back problem, but somehow carrying this 6-pack up the hill in my backpack fixed my back. She didn't even remember she came to Paul for help.
Wow.
Her back problem was just gone, and she couldn't even remember. It was so gone that she couldn't even remember that Paul did anything.
Mama D, can I ask you what different things you remember from what I told you the first time?
Yeah, I told you what was different.
That my brother touching that
Yeah, is
button
that your
thing.
brother actually did that thing actually did. Okay, let me show off my shirt because they're asking about my shirt.
Okay.
It's the undefeated hide and seek champion Bigfoot T-shirt.
It's a good shirt.
That's what it says. So anyway, thank you. Hey, Project Skyfall's made it in. Hey, and Marilena, my dear sister, we need to get her on over here onto this. I keep saying that. Marilena's coming to America. Da 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 da. She's coming to America. We got to get her over here. She wants to come to America. Anyway, what was different, Ben, was just what I told you. Is in the original story, it seemed to me like what I remember is you all three kind of got infected by this thing.
No.
See? And it's different now, isn't it? Yep. Now it never
No,
happened. That's okay. Now, I'm not going to argue about that because,
no, I won't either.
like I said, now this is the timeline that you were in, and now this is the experience that you have. It's different now. I don't know if we'll find residue in the recording or not.
Yeah,
Like when the timeline shifts and you find some evidence that the opposite thing was true, then that's called residue.
I
Okay.
do definitely think something hung on to me
Mm-hmm.
because we didn't close it right. We tried to burn it.
Mm-hmm.
That shit didn't work, so we just threw it in the garbage can. But it did reappear at my mom and dad's house.
Wow, you need to tell us that part. That's pretty interesting, Ben.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know that was important.
Oh hell yeah. You tried to burn it, but that didn't work. You mean it didn't burn?
No, it didn't burn.
Didn't burn.
Uh-uh.
So you just threw it away. And then it showed up again.
Yeah, it did. It definitely did.
Hey, you don't think that was important? You guys, what do you think? Is that pretty weird or what? Would you be weirded out if you couldn't burn this thing and then you try to throw it away and it shows back up? Doesn't that kind of take you back to some of these horror movies where they try and throw away the possessed doll and then it shows up on the chair in the living room again or in the kids' room or something? Doesn't that remind you of those stories? And
Yeah,
it
but
shows up again.
that did happen.
Ah, oh my goodness. I do not like them because I do not feel that it is right to hand something like that to a kid with no instructions, no clear instructions, no training, nothing, and say, here, open a channel to the other side. It's a game. It's like without, it's like people act like this is a game. It's not a game.
Yep.
This isn't a game. Talking to the dead is not a game.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
And you
I
don't
don't,
even know. It's like the internet. See, the thing is about a Ouija board, you open a channel, it's like the internet. It could be your uncle talking, or it could be somebody else. You don't know. You don't
yeah,
know.
you're right.
It could just be some entity, some familiar entity, or some entity that can read the timelines pretty well, telling you all of this stuff instead of your uncle or whoever you think it is.
Yeah, but I mean, everything it told us, like things that things that nobody would know, it would tell us it. You know, it would tell us the
Mm-hmm.
right thing. It'd
Mm-hmm.
be it'd be right on the money. It's really really convincing. But then you know what? It misspells things. It misspells words, and that was the biggest one of the biggest things I remember about it, it would misspell words, but it would get shit right. That shit like nobody would know.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's something more to that.
There is a lot more to that that you will probably never know, and maybe better off not knowing.
I don't want
Tell
to
you
know.
the truth,
I don't want
probably
to know.
better
I'm
not knowing.
just done with that for sure. I don't want to have nothing to do with that.
Yeah. See, I wonder sometimes if that's how come I don't get paid half the time for the things I do, is because when people get better, they don't even remember sometimes what they came in for. That they, some of them don't even remember they had any problem at all. They don't know why they came to see me for help. It's just gone. It's
Yeah,
so gone that they don't know what happened. It's just kind of a blank for them now because the energy is shifted. The string of code is gone. There's no record in their records of it, in their mind of it, and therefore it's not affecting them anymore. And that's why it's working. Now, if that doesn't, when this happens to you a few times, it becomes harder and harder and harder to deny that we might be in a simulation and this might all be code. Because if we can actually reach in, pull a string like that out, and change the past, then something's going on here, right? Could this be not reality prime? Well, people who are much smarter than me, like Elon Musk, and actually a whole panel of scientists, along with Degassi Trisom, uh, the Neil, that guy. He uh, was on the other side. He was on the like, that couldn't possibly be. But a whole panel of scientists was sitting there discussing it, going, well, actually, as we talk about it, yeah, it's very likely that we are in a simulation. As a matter of fact, the chances that we're not in a simulation are very infinitesimal.
wow.
And that's like, okay, a whole panel of people with PhDs, not me, saying this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm looking at this going, okay, that sure sounds like the Matrix to me. Um,
Yeah, it does.
so, so here's the logic behind it in a nutshell is if any such thing, uh, such as the Matrix, the simulation, whatever. For instance, if time travel is ever invented, then it will always exist from then on. It
It
will
has
exist
to
in
have
the
been
past
invented.
and the future. If the Matrix ever gets invented, it will exist in the past as well as the future because it runs the past. I mean, it's, if you remember, it was running the last part of the 20th century in the story. So if that ever gets made, then it will exist pretty much throughout time. So something like that. And I'm like, holy crap. These people who have a PhD are saying this, and it's like what I've been suspecting all this time. Now the funny thing is, a long time ago, this was like back in the 80s, early 90s, I got a name that people started calling me. They were like, had obviously heard of The Matrix. I didn't remember it. The movie had not come out yet. They started calling me the Oracle
Hmm.
of Kent, the Oracle of Kent. And I'm like, okay. And an Oracle is just, I mean, if you look up an Oracle, yeah, I guess I could say
Yeah,
that. But then when I realized what they were saying, was no, like the Oracle in the Matrix. Yep. Like grandma with the cookies in the
Yeah.
Matrix. So I'm like, oh, is that what they were talking about? Pardon me, my nose is just so bad. Anyway, so I'm there going, wow, that's amazing that I was that character to them without even knowing about the story, because I would say to them, and I don't know why I would feel compelled to say this in a conversation with a lot of people. I'd say we'd be talking about things and deep things like this, Deepu, and I'd say, what really makes anything real? What makes something real? Do you
Yeah.
know?
Yep.
Is it your experience? Is it what your five senses tell you?
Yeah.
But we know that our five senses can be tricked. We know they can be tricked because there are illusionists that trick us all the time. They do
Yeah.
what they call magic. It's an illusionist. We have artificial scents, artificial flavors. We have optical illusions. So our five senses are easily tricked. We know we have a very narrow band in which we see light. We only
Hmm.
see a narrow band of light. We only hear a narrow spectrum of sound. We only, our five senses really, like I say in that intro, our five senses really block more than they reveal to us. There is a big world out there, a big universe we cannot perceive with our five senses, but we can with what they're calling our sixth sense, which is really a bunch more. What they're calling sixth sense, there's really so many more, because there's clair sentience, clair aliens, clair um, audio, clear, there's clear hearing, there's clear smelling, there's clear tasting, there's clear feeling, there's just knowing. I just know this. There's all of these different supposedly six senses. There's dozens of them. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, some that we haven't even got names for yet that happen
Yeah.
with people. There's at least there's at least a dozen that they do have names for, and I wrote them all down at one point. Can't remember, but how many there were. But it's like, honestly, so really, what makes anything real? And then one guy, I remember it was a full moon night, and the guy looks at me and he stares and he stares. And I said, "Why are you staring at me like that?" And he says, "I'm waiting for you to turn into a bald black man." And I'm there like, "What? Oh, how interesting." Because actually, in my mind, there was a point at which I had a life memory, I had a past life memory of actually being male and black. So I didn't think too much of it. I said, well, maybe it's just a past life memory or something. Maybe you knew me in another life. I never thought too much about it. Didn't realize they were saying you sound like Morpheus. So
Yeah.
somehow I was this figure. And if you read it, you realize Morpheus and the Oracle are actually the same person. So like, what the heck? Do you get cookies too? My site doesn't have cookies. I stopped baking cookies. I might give you a piece of bacon though. I might cook some bacon for you because now I'm on keto. I stopped smoking too. Oh yeah, at the time I smoked. And yes, I did make cookies for everybody back then. That's probably another thing. I gave cookies to all the kids. I'd bake cookies and give them to all the kids back then. So I'm like, oh God, is that what was going on? I had no idea. That is so weird. So to them, I was the oracle. or Morpheus
Wow.
in a female body. Really weird. Oh, yeah, you call them biscuits there. Do we get a biscuit? You can't have your pudding if you don't eat your meat. Anyway, um,
Your pudding. How could you
uh,
have your pudding if you don't eat your meat?
um,
I'm about to
so
go.
yeah, am I somehow? And then you know what? The more I looked into it, I ended up getting invited. I ended up meeting somebody very wealthy. I mean, literally, his father, a millionaire, and getting invited to a chat by his wife. He married, and I lost touch with him, but I back when I was still kind of in touch, his wife invited me to a chat where we actually, um, well, I had found active worlds. Back then, it was active worlds and outer worlds. It was a 3D chat where it was like little game characters. You know how you have game characters? You have an avatar, only it was more like World of Warcraft, where you could walk around in your avatar and talk and chat to people and stuff. It was more like that. And it wasn't a game. They called it building worlds. They called it world building. We were building worlds. Honest to God, when I started building my little world, I really felt like God. It was like I thought to myself, this must be what God felt like, you know? But we were really creating different worlds, and you'd move between these sims, these little worlds that we'd create. So I was one of the people involved in that project, which evolved into other things. Eventually, I got invited to other versions of it, bigger versions, more elaborate types of things like that, 3D chats, and I was designing for them, designing things. And then at one point, I realized that I would look on the screen. I looked on the screen and I saw auras around all of our little avatars. And I'm like, holy crap, what does that mean? And my mind went right to, oh my God, we're ensouling our avatars. And this is just pixels. These avatars are just pixels. They're just electronic signals. And we're ensouling them somehow. We have given them an aura. They've got part of us in them right now. Part of us is in our little avatars on the screen. How is that even possible? That's what was in my mind. How is that even possible? It freaked me out. But then I thought, wait, if that's possible, then wouldn't isn't that like the Matrix? Is this the start of the Matrix? Is this the first steps in that direction? Oh my God. Which means, yes, we could put ourselves in something in this world that is not even a physical object. It's just an idea. It's just pixels. It's just electrical signals. Oh my God, this was such a revelation to me. It changed everything in my mind. It shifted everything. It's like, can that really be? Can that really be? But what else would it be? That's what I'm seeing. Whoa. Right there, I said, okay, I got to think about this. I had to lay down a while. It hit me so hard. I told my friends there, I said, do you realize I'm seeing auras around our avatars? And they were saying, oh yeah, well, I guess that's not a, they didn't, it's almost like the significance, maybe they thought I was kidding. I don't know. I said, we're ensouling our avatars. I don't know how we're doing it. Anyway, if that can happen, sure, we could be in a matrix. We could be sitting somewhere else, doing something else. And later I found this is quite possible because I would see people where they were while they were also in here playing this character. Sometimes I would see people where they were and I would say, oh, you're actually back here doing that. And they would say, yeah, how did you know? And I'm like, because I can see you. And they're like, wow, nobody's ever been able to see that before. I really had to think about this. I really had to like, are you pulling my leg? No, it happened more than once. I could see them. I could see what was on the other end. I could see that they weren't them. What do you think happens when you get an attachment? What do you think happens when people get possessed? Somebody hacks you. Somebody hacks you. It's the same thing. And then what happens? The person can't get into their account again because they've been hacked. What if it's the same thing? I can't prove this. You don't have to believe me. Once again, it's really crazy. It's really way out there. But what if I'm right about this too? What if I'm right about this? Like I was right about all kinds of other things back in college. So, yeah, we are playing. What do I always say? This is just tips, tricks, and hacks for playing that massively multiplayer. Everybody in this galaxy, maybe beyond this galaxy, I can't remember. Maybe everybody in the universe is playing this game now. I don't know. Massively multiplayer, total immersion. We think this is real, right? Virtual reality. This isn't real reality. Learning game. Yes, we learn things here. And another thing I was told, every time somebody asked me, why can we not remember? Why can we not remember? The only answer I ever got is because if you could remember, you wouldn't be able to play the game right, which puzzled me for a long time. What the hell does that mean? But now, in retrospect, online learning game we call Life on Earth, which has nothing to do with real life, which is outside the matrix, obviously, because we're really who we really are is somebody outside this matrix sitting here playing this online total immersion learning game. And it's been hacked and it's been virused and we're working on that. Okay, sorry for the inconvenience. Anybody read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? We're working on it. Apparently some of us came in here to work on that. And I remember telling somebody that a long time ago and hearing myself say that and wondering what the hell I was taught. Why am I saying this? Okay, that's part of my story. Now you know me a lot better. if you think that's a weird story, or if you think I'm lying, well, okay. I'm not going to make any money one way or the other on this. You know, it's nothing to me one way or the other, but I'm just telling you what my experience is because this is a show about experiences. So you really want to know what my experience is? There you go. Yeah. And beyond that, and beyond where we are outside of the matrix, yeah, we're still God. We're still all God. We're still all a part of God. We're still divine beings. I believe that. Take it as you will. And yeah, we're playing this very serious game, intense, serious total immersion game. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I I'm telling you, this is how it happened to me. This is why I'm sitting here going, well, all of these geniuses are telling me, yeah, we're probably in a simulation. My experiences are telling me, yeah, it looks like a simulation. Everything is pointing to we're in a simulation. God, we're in a simulation. We are. I mean, to me, I have no choice hardly but to believe that yeah, we're in a simulation somehow. And we're ensouling these bodies because that's what we do, because that's what our kind does. We can do that. How many times have you had a car or something and you have given it, you swear it had a personality? It was probably because you gave it one,
Yep.
because that's what we do. Why do you think they say, and here's another one, they say that the ships, the real UFOs, are entities, they're beings, they're live, they are alive.
They do
They're
say
not
that.
just hunks of machinery. They seem to be an extension of the being. Now, how would that be possible? It's because we can do that, because our consciousness can do that. We better accept this. Well, you don't have to do a thing I say. You don't have to believe a thing I say. But yeah, it would really be to our benefit to just accept this and go on and act as if it's true, because it's like within 99.9%, okay, as far as I'm concerned. So right. You still need a beach towel. Yeah, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. We want to hear what was on the other side. Yeah, we want to hear what you saw on the other side. Oh, I
Well,
do a
Mama
lot of
D, it
things
was
too.
great. Mama D,
Yeah,
it was great to talk to you. I gotta go to bed.
I understand, Ben. Thank you so much for sharing your stories.
You're very welcome. Very
You
welcome.
are, you know, don't ever think that I'm ever insulted. I understand you. I understand you. I understand you. Even when you curse, I curse too. I don't
Yeah.
think anybody's gonna die of it. I just can't
No,
do it
probably
too
not.
much on this channel because YouTube will screw around with you if you do. But um, you have to be careful not to overdo it on the channel. But yeah, we can. This sort of thing doesn't bother me. It's such a small thing to me. Okay, Ben, thank you so much for being on.
You're
There's
very
a
welcome.
you
Sorry
can
for
press to
cursing
let
too
yourself
much.
out. You have a wonderful sleep and
Thank you,
dream
ma'am.
well.
Have a good night.
Good night. Yeah. You know what? You don't have to drink beer. I don't drink beer either. It doesn't do good things for me. But the Anunnaki sure like their bear. Okay, so now you got some deep woo. What do you guys think of that woo? I'd really like to know, because I know how really freaking crazy that sounds. I mean, if you just came along and I knew none of this and you just told me, oh yeah, this is what's happening. This is what happened to me. I'd be like, what? Yeah. Biscuit Cat says, good morning. Hello, Biscuit Cat. Maybe all our minds can perceive it as is a ship. Yeah. Well, here's another thing. Um, Linda Moulton Howe is involved with, they were getting together pieces of a ship, supposedly an ET ship. And they found that the layers of metal, of alloy, that there were alloys that would not, that we do not even know how to combine, that were combined somehow in the pieces of metal, plus the layers were so thin. They were like less than a hair breadth layers, almost like skin layers, thinner than a hair layers and layers. And I'm like, that's because it was grown, not constructed. That's what's in my mind. This stuff was grown. This ship was grown, not constructed. Not like we do with rivets and shit. It was constructed. Mm-hmm. Well, to us, a biscuit is nothing like a cookie, except it has flour made out of flour. Wish I knew all my gifts. Well, Project Skyfalls, hang around. Maybe you'll find them. You know, me woman just found out recently that she's a distance healer. I helped her figure that out. I I just did a bunch of extractions on her. She's the one I was doing the. I don't think she'd mind if I told you. She's the one I did a bunch of extractions on. She had a lot going on. And then she passed out while I was doing them. But she's a distance healer. I was teaching her how to do that, and then I was trying to teach her how to work on herself. It didn't quite work, but we'll keep going. She'll eventually get it, I'm sure. But yeah, you love hearing the king's English. Which king's English were you considering? Which king's English would you consider to be the king's English? Oh, that sounds fine to you. Circle K says, nope, it sounds fine to me. We're in the Matrix. All this weird shit happened to Mama D. Sure, I'm down with it. Sure. Oh, thank you, Circle K. I'm down with it too. I have no choice though. Thank you for the vote of confidence. But now you know why, sometimes it's like things seem so weird to me. It seems so real here. We did such a good job. I'm really proud of the job we did on this place. I mean, it seems so real, doesn't it? And except there are times when it isn't. I mean, there's times when it doesn't. I mean, there's times when you're sitting there going, this place ain't real. You got to watch it though. If you're talking to a psychologist or a psychiatrist or something, you got to watch saying things like, "This is a matrix." You got to watch it. Can't be saying that. You might be dissociative or something. I don't know what they'd call it. Maybe dissociative. Something. Anyway, honestly, this is what this has been my experience. Like I said, be kind to the experiencers. It's not that easy to be an experiencer, is it really? Okay, well, I love you guys. I really wish that I could do more nights. I'm looking for more nights to be able to do this. Um, because I'd really, rather than a lot of things, I'd rather be here talking to you guys because you're so cool. Um, you really feel like a family to me, and I love you, and I want to hear more about your thoughts on all this. So, time is unweaving. Maybe. What the heck is time anyway? Well, it's something like the Dewey Decimal System. It's a coordination. It's a way to coordinate things. It's a way to find things. I mean, when you're doing okay, here, I'll explain it like this. When you're doing a remote view, they put coordinates on something. By putting coordinates on something, they give you a target. They have designated this thing at those coordinates. So time is like that. So when we say 2021, whatever, it's coordinates. Day, the month, the year, the minute, whatever. It's coordinates. So that you can talk about that location, that bit of memory, for lack of a better, that bit of information. That's probably better. That string of information there is this time. That's what it is. That's what it's for. It's just a little label, a little coordination point. That's what time is. Yes, built upon agreement. Right. You know what, James? We're going to do, if you're interested, if y'all are interested, I would like to do some actual healings. Maybe around the full moon, we'll do some healings. You know what? We can agree on more fun. We can agree for ourselves on more fun. How about that? You realize we don't have to go. Okay, I got to make this really clear. We don't have to be on the same timeline as people who are going to experience a flip-flopping planet, zombie apocalypse, World War III, or any of that crap. We don't have to be on that timeline. We are divine creators. We own this freaking game. We don't have to be on that timeline. I don't believe we do. I believe we've avoided several of those things. If you think about it, since I was a kid, now I'm nearly 65. I'll be 65 in December 9th. We have avoided so far everything they told me was going to kill me. It hasn't happened. None of it. Hasn't happened. I believe it happened to somebody. It didn't happen to me. You do not have to exist in that timeline. None of us do. We could have a timeline. We could agree among ourselves. We still wouldn't be in exactly the same place, but we could agree among ourselves that our timeline is going to be quite different, and it will be. I believe it will be. We will not see some of these things that we've heard about. We don't have to anyway, unless you want to. You want to experience that? I just heard that they found, as the Antarctic melts, they found a literal zombie virus. Okay, we made a zombie virus. They incubated it, and people actually made a zombie virus. So now it exists. Did it ever exist before? Probably not. We probably created it from hearing zombie, 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 zombie. Everything's been zombie. But now they found one in the Antarctic. Wow, isn't that amazing? Or did they really find it there? And so now what? We got the beginning of Resident Evil. So, you know what? I don't want to be here with that. I don't want to be here for that. I don't want that. You can have my share of the zombie apocalypse. You can have it. I will make jokes about it. But as far as I'm concerned, I ain't got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Yeah, you always do change the world. What about missing variables? Yeah. Anything, literally anything can happen. We've seen weird shit happen. After all, Trump got elected, didn't he? Weird shit can happen. Right. Marilena, that's entirely up to you. You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. I don't have to know what you're doing. Nobody else has to understand it except you. I'm just here to help people when I can. I'm just here trying to be a friend. That's all. You guys, you know, there's going to be probably we're going to have some really good talks about this. Lovey, you were in the Upside Down back in 2016. Yes, they want us to create the zombies. They want us to create them. So now they find this virus and let it out. Oh, now we have a zombie virus. We found one in the Antarctic. They've been incubating this zombie thing. I'm not getting behind Doom. Yeah. Flippy flopping through glitchy timelines. Maybe there's a song in there. Flippy flopping through glitchy timelines. No, that doesn't work. Maybe flippy flopping through glitchy timelines. I am you are cuckoo cuckoo something or other. I don't know. I'll have John Lennon help me write it. Maybe John will help me write it. John, you want to help me write flippy flopping through glitchy timelines? Glitchy, glitchy, yeah, yeah, yeah. La, 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 la. Oh, you think your brain is scrambled? I used to describe mine as being kind of like Swiss cheese because there would be pieces, there just holes in my memory that I couldn't figure it out. Glitchy, glitchy, yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's hack the matrix. Hack the matrix. Yeah. Flippy flopping. Remember those discs that they had memory called the floppy disk? Yeah, we could bring back dragons and dragon riders. We could we could bring the dragons back and make them friendly dragons, and we could be dragon riders if we wanted to. Oh, Paul says the unicorns are already back. Paul says the unicorns are already back. All you have to do is you don't even have to recreate them. You just call them back. And just put some energy into it, and they'll be there again. So, yep, it sounds crazy as hell, I know, but whatever. Magical wish granting. That's right. We'll make the unicorns, because the unicorns really didn't start out that way. But we'll make ours wish granting unicorns. That's right. Magical with musical voices. Yeah, that's the way we'll make ours. Oh, you got caught up in the House of the Dragon? Yeah, little fantasy. I like Dragon Riders of Pern. That was a good series. You're not blue, love. You know what? It's a funny thing because we talk about being blue, like being kind of sad. But the blue guys, the blue aliens, seem to be happy all the time. Isn't that funny? The blue guys seem to always be smiling and happy. Not a care in the world. Ooh, feel like I got a. Every now and then I get cowboy fur in my eye. Oh, the computer with the green screen. Yeah. Yeah, we don't freaking need no stinking timeline. We need a good time. We need some sweet smelling timelines. We don't need a fucking zombie timeline. They bring on the zombies, we'll bring on something that eats zombies. If they manage to get that to happen and suck us into it, then we'll just come up with something that does away with them. My dragon's been around a long time, probably forever. Oh my goodness, you guys. We have a lot of fun to have. We could have a lot of fun with this, really. I've gotten some very strange things to happen, to manifest. You can too, with a little practice. And if you want, we'll work on that. We'll practice getting stuff to happen. And we'll decide what do we want to happen. And then that's what will live instead of crappy stuff. Yeah, Marilena. So how did you get all the way over there? How did you get all the way over there? You must have been the explorer. Wow. Well, I hate to tell you, because really, I love talking to you. But I'm getting to the point now where I need a break. We got 3.5 hours in. I think I've done pretty well. Um, I think we've covered a lot of freaking woo ground. What do you think? I think we've really lived up to that deep woo name. Really deep woo, like really, really deep woo. I think we've done that pretty well. Yep. You are all appreciated. I love you dearly. Thank you so much for coming to my channel. I hope to see you on Sunday night at 10, and where we will do more woo. The kind of woo that you like to do, we will do that. Okay? Just let me know what you want to hear about. Please let me know in comments and stuff what you want to hear about, what subject you want to go into. We'll do that. But I think on every show we're going to do a little clearing and expanding and yeah, Marilena made it all the way here. Well, time for a bathroom break and something to drink. Honestly, it makes me so thirsty doing these shows. I get so thirsty. I could drink a gallon of water right now, maybe. Okay, and so you are divine, you are creators, and you are not just a glitch in the matrix. Although your Abby might be a temporary fluctuation. Anyway, and so might mine. Wouldn't it be interesting when we really get to the point where we can control it and make our Abbies look like whatever we want? That'd be cool. I might decide that I want, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it'd be interesting if we could, just touch a little thing and change our appearance or something. Maybe that's how shape-shifting works. I don't know. Maybe that's how some of these shapeshifters do. Anyway, love you guys. And what else do I always say? Oh, yeah. Truth is where you find it. Hope you're finding some on my show. And tell people you love them. Because some people are going to be leaving. You'll feel better if you tell them now. Okay. With that, see you Sunday and in other chats. Bye-bye. Oh, dear.